KwaZulu-Natal has become central to political killings over years now, but the wheels of justice there seem to be finally turning, albeit slowly. Out of 145 cases of political violence that's been reported, 57 are in court, 31 are for decision dockets, and 58 cases have been closed for various reasons, because of lack of evidence. KZN Director of Public Prosecutions Elaine Zungu confirmed this during a briefing earlier today. Now, Professor Mary de Haas, a violence monitor, joins us on the line now just for some reaction and more on this. Good afternoon, Prof. Thank you very much for your time. You've been monitoring political violence in KwaZulu-Natal for decades now. When you hear the reports like we're getting today that there seems to be some progress in the investigation or dealing with political violence cases, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's good enough?
I mean, I didn't see anything much in the way of progress. These cases have been going on for years. And there's evidence, strong enough evidence in some of them. I mean, and there's a lack of transparency about which cases. I don't know if the DPP has actually gone into the specific cases, but I mean, I want to know which cases are in court, which cases has the evidence been, is there no evidence that cases withdrawn, because the crux of the matter is that we don't know what this present ministerial task team is doing, because some of these cases were getting on quite well until they got involved. We don't know who is on that team. We don't know. The minister is involved, which is completely irregular, and the man who is reportedly heads the team isn't a detective. So that's how chaotic it all is. It's impossible to get accurate information about specific cases.
Yeah, in this particular matter of today's briefing, we understand, for example, that 58 cases have been closed for various reasons. That's out of 145 because of a lack of evidence. But you say in many of these political attacks, there is evidence. That's plenty. Why would so many cases be closed? Would it be lack of political will, you think, or lack of resources by the law enforcement agencies?
Well, look, it's a combination, I think. I don't think there's a political will in some cases, because I know pretty well that cases in the Umzimkhulu area, for example, a key suspect was arrested, but he was politically very well connected. I mean, we have a pretty good idea of who's behind some of those killings, including the killing of Sindiso Magaka. Now, the man who was arrested was a very senior ANC person, and the charges were quickly withdrawn. Then he mysteriously died, so nobody believes that it was a natural death. So, and I mean, I must also mention this, that in the case of Sindiso Magaka, there was progress in that case before, although one of the whistleblowers in the case was killed, supposedly in an armed robbery, but that's the way you often finish people off irregularly. The case was taken over, and since then, for some reason or other, it has been very little progress. Now, in that case, there's two very important factors here. In that case, suspects are members of the tactical response team, which is basically a private team of the minister's, right? But even more important, a leaked intelligence report, which I have confirmed exists, and it was in at least three media places, was that the crime intelligence members in this province were running a political hit squad with slush funds, which killed Sindiso Magaka. Okay, and we have a pretty good idea of who they are. Now, this is the crux of the matter. The case is on trial, but as I said, we're now worried about what's happened to the evidence that was there before the task team took over. More importantly still is the report on the crime intelligence was that the counterintelligence report on the hit squad was handed irregularly to the minister by the then head of intelligence, Jacobs. He should have handed it to Sitole, handed to Sitole, and it was classified. Now, Sitole denies having seen it. Well, who classified it? How are you going to run a trial when key evidence is classified?
Yeah, it seems like wherever you look and how you look at it, at some stage, some of these cases are treated as sensitive cases, maybe alleged to protect, as you've said, some high-profile individuals. Are you confident, though, as the DPP sounded this morning, that they'll be getting on top of at least political violence in KwaZulu-Natal?
No. I mean, the point is, if you have so many cases, if you have so few, I mean, if I look at my list, which I don't have before me, which would go back now about 6 years, I mean, this is the most recent killing, the most recent deaths of dozens and dozens of people. Very few of those have ended up in, I mean, there's not be a handful of convictions. I can't remember, if that. Now, and there's still cases in court. Now, the court cases are dragging on and on and on. And, I mean, the whole thing is irregular. That there's a ministerial team. A minister must have nothing to do with police operations. It's unconstitutional. And in this case, the investigations are dealing with his colleague, possibly his colleagues who are suspect in this province. The whole thing is irregular. And I must also add that I've had my run-ins with the provincial DPP office. I mean, I can think of, I mean, I had to appeal in the case of 3 cases where the evidence was strong. And there's no prosecution. And there's no good reason for that. There's other cases in which the evidence is strong and the DPP just, if you take the case of the Cater Manor killings, those dockets, some of those are very strong cases. She decided not to prosecute in any of them. So, how do we know? How can we trust the prosecutorial services?
Very, very tough position. Thank you very much, Professor Mary de Haas, violence monitor in KwaZulu-Natal, saying that not enough is being done by the Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal to resolve some of the many outstanding cases of political violence. And some of them that are in court, they drag on for too long. And like the killing of Sindiso Makaka, she's used that as an example. I mean, a whistleblower was apparently killed in a robbery, as reported, and that case is still ongoing. And in the Cater Manor killings, it says there was hard evidence, but the DPP in case they then decided not to prosecute. The matter of political violence, ongoing political killings in KwaZulu-Natal is a serious one.